and welcome. This is the first August edition of our Sitecore Strategy MVP webinar. We've got a couple more coming up this month, which I will share at the end. But we have two wonderful speakers for you today. And our third speaker, Greg Baxter, is actually not able to join us, so we may run a little bit short today, but we've got some really great content for you, so I'm excited. So I think we will go ahead and get started. It seems like we've got a nice quorum in there. So, as I said, I am really excited to introduce two of our fantastic speakers for today. So first up, we will have Navneet, who is a solution architect at Foodstuff, and he's going to be talking to us about how an efficient Sitecore platform roadmap drives the success of your own product roadmap. Really excited for that. And then Navneet will be followed by Tom, who is a solution architect at Veritas Digital. And Tom's going to talk to us about e-commerce on Sitecore OrderCloud and specifically around optimization targeted at seniors. So both really exciting topics. If you do have any questions for either Navneet or Tom as they present, please feel free to drop them in the chat and we will go ahead and answer them at the end. And at the end, I also do have a few announcements for us and then we will wrap. So with that, Navneet, feel free to take it away.
Awesome. Let me go ahead and reshare my screen. Perfect. Just doing one final check. You all can hear me, see me, and see my deck.
Yes, we've got it.
Awesome. Perfect. Cool. Thank you all. Thanks for joining this webinar presentation. Tom's got an amazing topic. I hope this kind of leads on to that. But I wanted to do something completely different today. I've kind of in the recent past I've been talking about Sitecore and Sitecore topics and Sitecore offerings, and what I wanted to kind of stress today is go back to the basics. We have to ensure that everyone's on Sitecore, everyone's using some sort of a platform. We have to ensure that the platform is healthy, is maintained and it feeds into the success of your product offerings. And the way I would put forward that's the success of your product offerings hinges on an efficient and forward-looking Sitecore platform. The way I would look at it is if you buy a car and if you were to drive that car around for miles and miles and if without doing any sort of maintenance on that vehicle, eventually it's going to break down. So you should take care of what you have. There are a few different interesting questions that you could ask that I'll come to, but without much ado, let's move forward. Thanks for the wonderful introduction. I just want to kind of quickly also highlight a small snippet of myself. I'm Navneet Pisharodi. I'm a Sitecore solution architect here at Foodstuffs in Auckland, New Zealand. I'm based in Auckland, New Zealand. I'm a two-time Sitecore MVP and I've spent 2 decades in the software engineering space. Can't believe it's already that much time. And half of that has been dealing or working with Sitecore in some way or the other. So definitely enjoyed all my time working with Sitecore and Sitecore platform and with people from Sitecore and with my fellow Sitecore experts. Excellent learning from all that experience. So going forward, while I was kind of wiring up this idea in mind, I was basically reading on some interesting topics, and there was a really good phrase that I came across: strong foundations build the tallest structures. And as a representation of that image on the right, you've got the Burj Khalifa, which is the tallest structure on the planet. Would you believe that it's almost 160 floors tall, and it's got a 160 feet of foundation? It goes as deep as 160 feet. That's around 50 meters, I think. So just want to highlight that, without that strong foundation, you would not have that tallest structure. And similarly, robust platforms pave the way for towering achievements in software engineering. You can have how many other product offerings you want that provide value to customers, but unless you have a strong platform in the background, unless you have something like we're talking about Sitecore, unless you have something as strong as Sitecore, something as something with an enterprise level scale as Sitecore, you would not have a customer value proposition that you can get to customers. You would not have a platform that customers enjoy. If you don't have a platform that customers enjoy, they would never come back. You would lose your core revenue generating opportunity. So moving forward, what exactly is a product roadmap? It all centers around your a specific product. And a product can be anything. It can be a website, it can be a mobile app, it could be any sort of customer offering. As an example, you go on Amazon's app, you do your shopping. That Amazon app is an example of a product. It communicates the direction of a product. So in a sense, you would have a variety of features that your product encompasses, but how are those features delivered? What are the various milestones? What are the various horizons? What value does business get in each of those horizons is what it communicates. It also kind of provides a direction on how the various teams within your ecosystem work together to deliver business goals. Business comes to delivery with an initiative. That initiative is then broken down into deliverable features and how that feature is delivered, when that feature would be available for the business to consume, when that feature would get to customers, when that innovation gets to customers. These are all defined within your product roadmap. So in a sense, it focuses on outlining the strategic direction and horizons for the product. It details the features, functionalities, and enhancements, what value comes out of all this work. It is more customer-centric, aligning with the needs and preferences of customers. Customers are the key. Customers are the core for any sort of business, be it internal or external customers. And it is more dynamic and iterative. What that means is when you construct a product roadmap today, it doesn't mean that 1 year down the line, that product roadmap cannot be revised. Everything is set in stone. That's not the case. It continues to evolve based on user feedback and changing market conditions. My perception about certain things change on a monthly basis. So I can imagine how a customer's perception of what they would like to experience on within a product changes pretty constantly, which means business has to evolve to those changing expectations. I drew up a quick example of a Gantt chart. Now, essentially, this is not the entire product roadmap, but this is just a representation in a Gantt chart. Basically shows you how you've got the various horizons, you've got your milestones, and then on the left, you've got the customer value delivered. Now, in this example, on a hypothetical scenario, I'm saying you've got content personalization, you've got omni-channel marketing, and you've got third-party integration. Now, each of the activities that have been identified as a part of each of those streams in one way or the other contribute to something that improves the life of for the customer. As an example, you've served personalized content. If I were a customer, if I were to come onto a website and if I see content personalized or tailored to my requirements, I'd be really thrilled and I'd probably definitely be coming back. So in short, the way I would put it is if a customer, for some reason, hypothetically, if they were to look at this product roadmap, they would at least understand certain nuances of what is being delivered. Because they know that this is something that adds value to their experience and they know what experience they need. Now, again, coming back to the Amazon experience that I was talking about, if as a customer, I would always wish that there was an easier way for me to find a product. And if one of those activities need to be delivered and is identified, that would fit into this product roadmap. On the other side of the scale, on the other side of the coin is your platform roadmap. Now, a platform or a technology roadmap focuses on the strategic development of the underlying technology infrastructure. Now, we can talk about Sitecore as a platform. We can talk about SAP as a platform. We can talk about CRM as a platform. In general, these are platforms that in one way or the other provides capabilities to serve product offerings, to serve one product or a suite of products. It basically outlines the plan for improving the products or the platform's capabilities, how scalable that is, how performant that is over time. It involves technology upgrades. It involves aligning with architectural principles. It involves taking security measures to ensure that you're protected against vulnerabilities. You're compliant with industry regulations. One big difference between platform roadmap and your product roadmap is that platform roadmap is more internally focused. It focuses on coordinating efforts across engineering and development, whereas your product roadmap is more externally focused. Now, don't confuse between platform and product roadmaps with delivery roadmaps. That's basically one step ahead. This is more high level. It's more of a high level view of what happens in each of those areas. Now, coming back to platform roadmap, it as I was saying, it supports not just one, but it can support multiple products or a suite of products, which basically gives you one idea of why a platform is so important. Because Unless you have that platform functioning like an well-oiled machine, some of your core revenue generating streams would be at risk. So in short, before I go forward, this is basically a hypothetical platform, a representation of a platform roadmap that I quickly drew up the other day. As you can see, it's more oriented around your infrastructure, around testing, security. And if you were to look at each of those activities, you've got penetration testing, vulnerability management, automation stack for testing, working on your container infrastructure. These are things that as a customer, they probably don't even worry about. They don't even care about this because all they care is what functionality adds value to them. But in short, some of these, once accomplished, directly feed into the customer success stories that we normally hear. So moving forward, just to summarize, a product roadmap defines an iterative feature-by-feature evolution path of a product, whereas a platform roadmap focuses on the software platform or technology. In short, the core purpose for both those roadmaps are the same: to deliver value to customers. One additional thing which I would like to add here is you've got two roadmaps, but how does business find value in it? You always need to also include information how each of the technology advancements that you're doing within your platform directly contributes or unlocks product innovations. That is the key driving factor for investments into your platform. And investments into your platform are key because if you start neglecting those, then you start experiencing delayed feature delivery, degraded user experience. As an example, delayed feature delivery, if you have a legacy tech stack and if you have got a legacy DevOps process, then imagine you won't be able to do on-demand releases. You would need to schedule releases once every 2 weeks or once every month, which is not the ideal scenario. Similarly, if you've got a legacy platform or a legacy infrastructure, you probably don't have a highly performant website offering, which means when a customer comes onto the site, and every time they request a page, it needs to go back and hit a server, which eventually leads to degraded user experience. I've heard somewhere that if the response time of your page increases beyond a minute, then your bounce rate significantly increases into, say, up around 20 or 30%. So you're having your SEO and having your core web vitals are pretty key. At the same time, the more you neglect your platform, it leads to tech debt and security risks because you're in a legacy technology stack. You're using legacy packages, and eventually all of that lead to delayed innovation and competitive disadvantage. Unless you innovate, unless customers are kept interested, you start losing customers. And if you lose customers, market is pretty tough, your competition takes over. So I've been talking about platform and product roadmaps and just putting that introduction out to you. We are in a Sitecore forum. Now, with the various roles that I've done in the past few years, there were certain key focus areas and certain key topics that we used to always discuss in terms of the Sitecore platform. And those were platform capabilities. So those were activities that happen around the Sitecore platform, things that we should be doing. So that's why in a way I call this back to basics, because these are things that we should be doing. These are questions that we should be asking. These are capabilities that we should be exploring. So moving on, the very first thing that I'd like to put forward is always review and maintain your Sitecore infrastructure. One of the things that I have periodically seen, that I've constantly seen, is we have a working platform. We've got a working product. Everything's fine and dandy. We basically become complacent and we stop focusing on our foundations. We basically just focus on delivering customer value. But one of the things that need to be done is periodically go and review your platform health. Make sure you apply any pending updates and patches. Make sure you always track any security advisories or vulnerability bulletins that Sitecore puts out and address them as soon as possible. I think we've had a couple of them come through this year. And it's good that Sitecore's kind of focusing on all this. It's good that you're working with a platform that focuses on improving the capabilities and fixing issues, rather than just giving you a version and asking you to work on that. So that continuous improvement is always important. It always helps customers achieve the goals that they want to achieve. Another thing that I constantly do is reassess infrastructure spending. There's always complaints there's always concerns from business that the costs, the operational costs on Sitecore infrastructure is pretty high. But one of the things that I'd always advise is go back and look at what your infrastructure expenses are. Where are you spending a lot? Are you spending it on your database resources? Are you spending it on scaling? Because there's always ways to save costs. There are functionalities that you might not be using. Why not turn it off? So always reassess your infrastructure spending and save costs wherever possible. The last one and the most important one is stay up to date on your product lifecycle management. You might be on a version 8, you might be on a version 9, and things might be working, things might be super amazing, but technology evolves over time. Sitecore is evolving, Sitecore is moving across versions. You'll eventually get to a point where you would realize that you are lagging behind on your product lifecycle. You would eventually realize that Sitecore's move pretty far ahead in terms of innovation. And at that point, if you lag behind, the effort and the complexity to catch up is significant. It's cost prohibitive, and it is also extremely complex to do an upgrade. So always ensure that, whenever you plan your roadmap, whenever you plan your quarterly activities, whenever you plan your budgets, always account for some of these to come in as a part of that list of activities that you need to do. As I was saying, some of the benefits, every platform has some sort of an issue or a bug that is iteratively resolved. So the more frequently you put in your updates and patches, the more frequently you have a resolution for some of those. Now, with every update and patch, Sitecore also tries to improve your platform's performance. So that's another benefit that you get. You also get access to new features and functionalities that are pushed out as a part of some of these updates. And without saying much, any sort of update also helps you with mitigate any potential cybersecurity risks or any industry regulation requirements. Another thing that we've asked quite a bit in our general discussions is we wanted a solution. So we've previously, when I say we, at our existing in my existing role, we've previously been on older versions of Sitecore, and we've had issues where you develop a feature locally, everything works locally, but the moment you start pushing things upstream, you've got issues. We've had issues where we are in a retail industry, and ours is a very popular e-commerce offering that we have that we put out to New Zealanders. And we've had issues where our systems were not scaling or were not flexible enough for varying customer traffic scenarios. We had issues where we could not automate and manage our infrastructure resources. We've had performance issues where we had our assets and images being served from a Sitecore database instead of from an edge. So there were quite a lot of capabilities that we were looking for, and that's how, one of the things that I would definitely do, and this is mainly for people who are on pre-version 10, is if you are asking those questions, why not look at moving to version 10 and containers? Version 10 and containers was the first version that came out with out-of-the-box containerization, which is full container support. It also gave us the opportunity to integrate with Content Hub and the benefits of digital asset management. Essentially, imagine you're serving your images and assets from a database. Every database has issues with performance. So if you're going to be serving that from a cache, that would significantly improve the performance of your website. It would significantly improve your SEO scores. It would significantly benefit your brand value. And overall, sorry, I jumped ahead. Overall, it would help improve the performance of your DevOps cycle. Those are some of the questions that we asked. Those are some of the capabilities that we were looking for, and that's how we explored Sitecore version 10 and containers. And I just want to kind of put forward those questions that we asked, hoping that some of you might benefit from asking those exact same questions when you're working with either with your customer or if you're working at your customer space. Another one that it's a hot topic of the press. It's something that everyone's discussing. Is SaaS. Now, Sitecore SaaS it's basically called a composable SaaS. There are quite a lot of applications within the MarTech stack that you have at Sitecore. Of course, all of us have that content management experience that with Sitecore that we've been carrying forward. So just kind of touching on that, we've got XM Cloud, which is more of XM, the features of XM on the cloud. And Sitecore's composable SaaS essentially means that all of the services and infrastructure are hosted and managed by Sitecore. One of the benefits that you have here is you've got headless content delivery. SaaS is headless ready. And if you've got content delivered from the edge, that is an icing on the cake. Now, another huge point with regards to Sitecore's composable SaaS is you've got various applications within Sitecore's MarTech stack. And if you were to start off with XM Cloud, there are options to seamlessly integrate with other applications within that entire SaaS infrastructure. For example, you could easily integrate with Sitecore CDP or Personalize or Analytics or OrderCloud or any of the other applications, SaaS-based applications that Sitecore provides. A big benefit of all of this, of moving to SaaS, is one, your team can focus on delivering customer experiences. It can focus on delivering value to your value streams. It can focus on innovating for customers. It can focus on generating revenue. Teams do not need to focus on maintaining and managing infrastructure. Teams do not need to focus on doing upgrades and patches and vulnerability fixes and so on. That's a huge benefit. Because that saves time and saves significant costs on human hours and on infrastructure. Another thing, and this is basically the another go-to word these days, is headless. And with SaaS is headless ready. It all aligns with the Mark architecture vision where it is headless. So if you are envisioning to proceed on a Jamstack path, if you are envisioning to proceed on a headless horizon, then SaaS is definitely an option for you. Another one that we see is nowadays there's quite a lot of omni-channel offerings. As a company, you're not just spinning out websites, you're basically having various platforms. You would have mobile apps, you would have websites, you would have, in our case, we run a lot of brick and mortar stores. So we've got apps within our brick and mortar stores that employees use within our brick and mortar stores. So you could have content generated once that will be served to all these various omni-channel offerings. From a marketing perspective, that's an opportunity for them to generate lightning fast content with the added advantage that you just situate the content once that can be delivered in a seamless manner to various consuming applications all at once. With SaaS, with XM Cloud, you've got the added benefit of Experience Edge sitting in the middle, which means that all of that content is cached and delivered to you directly from the cache. On top of all of this, it's cost effective, it's cloud-based. As I was telling you, you're not the one managing and maintaining the infrastructure. It's all done. It's all taken care of for you by Sitecore. These are questions, again, when we were on a pre-version 10, we asked quite a lot of questions that I was showing you before. That's how we landed up on version 10 in containers. So you can see, as an example, we are trying to catch up on our product platform evolution. We are not kind of entirely focusing on a product, and we are not losing track of our platform. We are having a parallel focus on both our product offerings and our platform. We are giving almost equal importance to both. And I believe that all of the success that we are achieving here at the place where I work is because of that parallel focus on these two areas. So just highlighting once more why a product and a platform are important for the success of your business. Before I sign off, just adding a few more thoughts that you should keep in mind. One, something that I've seen from my experience, you have a Sitecore topology, you've got tons of features that Sitecore provides. Always go back and review what actual features are in use, because you might be on an XP topology and you probably are not even utilizing your marketing automation and your analytics and your experience profiles and your customer segmentation and your personas, and all those features might not even be in use. You might just be using basic content management. So if you were to evaluate what you're using versus what Sitecore's capability metrics includes, there's two options that you have. One, it might lead you on to implementing some of the features that you're not using, thus providing business value, or it might give you an opportunity to move on to a different topology of Sitecore that might give you added benefits. As an example, if you're just using content management, why not go to XM Cloud? Why not utilize that instead of sticking onto your XP topology? I'm not saying XP is bad. I'm just saying that if you're going to be using XP, use all of its capabilities. If you're using XC, which is Experience Commerce, use all of its capabilities. If you're looking at headless commerce capabilities, look at OrderCloud. So in a sense, in short, some of these evaluations and some of these constant reviews of your platform capabilities makes you think ahead, makes you innovate, and makes you think forward. So that's one thing. Always identify the opportunities. Always identify opportunities to simplify your Sitecore technology landscape. In a sense, if you were to look at the underlying infrastructure, your infrastructure is really complex. But there are various options to actually simplify your infrastructure based on the features that you use. I always kind of put this small phrase forward. Think of progress over perfection. Yes, perfection is important, but you can't be taking months and months to achieve perfection and in the process hold off customer innovation. You should actually look at delivering in an iterative process, look at MVPs. That's what you should be doing. One additional thing before I sign off is, if required, always work closely with your Sitecore customer success manager, because Sitecore has a good engineering team with someone from Sitecore engineering. You could reach out to the experts. They could come in, review the existing architecture, review the existing implementation, and suggest improvements. They could also kind of draw up a roadmap for you that might work in your favor. So in a way, that's all I had. I want to do something different, something completely different from what I was initially thinking of doing, and hope some of this, the ideas around what you should be thinking in terms of your platform, some of these platform and product roadmap related vision that I shared helps you in some manner. And if you have any questions, I don't know if you're short on time. If not, more than happy to take questions. If not, you've got my channels over there. Feel free to send me questions. Feel free to send me a chat message, and I'd be more than happy to address some of my thoughts and success stories. I'll be able to share them with you, and maybe you can take some learnings back and apply them at your situation. But thank you, SMAC. Thank you again, and happy to hand this over back to you, Megan. Yeah.
Thanks, Navneet. That was great. I think there's some really nice points. I think we're all thinking about platform and what's happening in the changing landscape and thinking about product and platform. So I think there was a lot to take away from that. So thank you very much. And with that, as Navneet said, if you have any questions for him, please feel free to drop it in the chat. But we will go ahead and hand over to you, Tom.
All right. Thank you so much. Let me share my screen there. All right. So, all right. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunities to sort of share this story. So the story is not going to be about getting as much profit out of each customer. It's not going to be about increasing revenue or conversions, right? This is really about optimizing an e-commerce journey for seniors to enable them to sort of be self-sufficient in their own home, right? So let me first of all start to introduce myself. My name is Tom Puijman. I'm originally Dutch, but I'm actually based in Bangkok, in Thailand. I'm a solution architect at Vertis Digital. I've experience with Sitecore solutions over 10 years, and I also worked at Sitecore, both in the UK and in Singapore, actually, for 5 years. Now sort of use my expertise to sort of help Sitecore customers or any company to sort of advise them in digital experience, commerce, and around the Sitecore products. If you want to get in touch, feel free to drop me a line on LinkedIn. So Vertis Digital. We are headquartered in Singapore, but we're basically spread all over sort of the Asia Pacific region. We are basically a web agency, implementing using our Sitecore expertise to help Sitecore customers. So for this particular project, we actually had a government agency coming to us, they are providing subsidies to seniors to spend towards consumable products, right? So consumable products are things like that seniors need on a daily basis, stuff like diapers. It can be stuff like liquid food or catheters, right? So these are really products that the seniors, they need those products for their home care needs, right? And also directly contributing to their quality of life, right? So there is a certain importance, of course, by making sure this is sort of that they are able to get those products within time, and also making it accessible to them, right? So that was really the goal of this particular e-commerce project, right? So it's really about ensuring their independence and continued care at home, so that they are not sort of dependent on a nurse or a healthcare institution, right? When we were designing this platform, right, we also understood that not all seniors are either digitally savvy, or maybe they are not physically able to sort of access the internet and go to the website and order stuff, right? So it was also essential that they can basically delegate their access to their subsidies and to their personal information to place those orders. Right, so that is either being the next of kin, right? So a son or a daughter, right? Or that can also be a supplier, right? So that they call the supplier, and the supplier is placing the order on behalf of them, right? So that was also important, sort of, in the design of this platform. And also this platform is owned by the government agency, they are not having any products, right? That is really by the suppliers, right? So it is a closed marketplace that is basically driven by the suppliers, right? They have their products, they take the orders, they fulfill the orders, right? So the suppliers need to be self-sufficient on this platform, right? And another essential element was also that we need to be able to basically automatically apply subsidies to these products, right? Because the subsidies are provided by the government, and they need to be automatically basically applied to those orders. So with that, we basically looked in the market, like what is a good e-commerce solution, right? And if you're looking at something that is a marketplace where you have multiple suppliers that are advertising products and fulfilling orders, the market gets somewhat limited, and especially if you look at commerce and marketplace in the same solution, and it being also something that you can customize to a certain extent, ideally sort of a headless platform where you can where you're not sort of limited by a set admin panel, for example, that you get, right? So those were very important elements into sort of the solutioning of this platform, right? So it needs to be self-service, right? A supplier needs to be able to publish their own products. They need to be able to fulfill those orders of themselves without someone in between, right? So that was essential. So that's why we arrived at Sitecore OrderCloud, right? Sitecore OrderCloud was sort of essential in this project, right? Basically, with the head start that OrderCloud provides, we could go live in like 6 weeks with a minimum viable product, right? And there was actually a successful go live, right? It was something that it allows us to move fast, right? Faster than we imagined with any other solution. Besides that, it's technology agnostic, right? So, so for example, we also had some reporting needs, right? So we built basically a reporting engine on top of that on Azure Functions, right? So that is something that also helps, right? It being headless, right, means that we are not sort of limited by the features that the platform is offering, right? We can also sort of add to that, right? So that was also essential for the success of this project, right? And also like OrderCloud is the engine itself, right? The commerce engine itself is a SaaS platform, right? So that also means that new features are getting added frequently, right? So basically in the mid of the project, we found out that a new returns feature was being added to OrderCloud, right? Was also something that we were looking for, and during our project, basically in the middle of the project, that was added, right? And that basically helped us to sort of also add that feature and implement that into our admin panel. Right. Similarly, recently, for example, there was also a subscription feature introduced. Right. So it's continually adding value to the project. Also helps us to keep moving and help sort of improving our platform as they are adding features. Right. So that is also helpful. It being a SaaS platform. So as part of my problem statement, right? I mentioned that seniors are not always able to place orders themselves, right? So they need to be able to sort of delegate that access to someone else. So we sort of came up with a model where a senior has an account in the store. And then a caregiver, right? So, for example, the son of the actual customer can also create an account, a so-called caregiver account, right? What we are doing is we are using the buyer groups feature, the concept of buyer groups in OrderCloud, to basically create a group and set them in the same buyer group. So that way we can, first of all, expose the same product catalog. We can expose the same products. We can also share basically the orders between them. And we can also allow them, for example, to use the same addresses, they can place orders on behalf of that senior, right? So the concept of buyer groups was something that really helped in this scenario, right? Because that way multiple accounts can place basically orders for the same end customer, right? Right. So this concept, although it's maybe a little bit abstract to begin with, right? And in the beginning, I also thought maybe it's only for B2B scenarios, but this actually helped us to sort of realize this scenario for us. And then in terms of subsidies, so basically the structure of the subsidies is that there's basically a sort of a fixed amount of subsidies that can be applied to orders, and it's also based on a certain amount of rules. So this is something that we use the spending account feature in OrderCloud. So using spending accounts, you can basically store a financial value to the account. And it is also something that you can apply as a payment to an order, right? And the good thing is also that you can apply multiple payment methods in the same order, right? So this really helped us to sort of realize this scenario, right? So you can for an order you can pay partially with your subsidy and partially with for example a credit card or cash on delivery. Right, so this also helped us to sort of realize this, and also helps us to manage sort of the balances of the accounts, and also helps us to sort of manage how much they are spending and how much they spend in subsidy on an order as well. So so this was something that was sort of also instrumental to the success of this project. It's not something that when choosing Sitecore OrderCloud, it was not something that we knew of, but once we got to know this feature and once we sort of fit that into the requirements that we had, it was very, very helpful in that. Yeah, other sort of use cases that you can think of for spending account is, for example, if you have like a credit account, or you have a wallet that you want to offer to a customer, or you can even use it for gift cards, right? You can also add a redemption code to a spending account, and then based on that redemption code, you can, for example, look it up at an order and then add that to the order, right? So there are different use cases to spending accounts. This is how we used it, but yeah, it is a flexible concept in that sense. So it being a marketplace, right? I usually compare it to, like, for example, like a Shopee or an Amazon, right? In Amazon, you can buy whatever products you want from the big catalog. And as a customer, you don't really care what subsidies for filling your order in the back end, right? The only reason why you may be concerned about that if you, for example, need to manage your shipping costs, right? But for the journey itself, you are not limited, sort of, you don't have to place separate orders with different suppliers, right? So for you, it doesn't really matter what products from what suppliers you buy, right? For you, it's just one big catalog, right? So OrderCloud actually works the same, right? You can add whatever products you want to your cart, and then in that we process it in the way that we split it by suppliers, right? So the order flow was really about that we have a buyer order, which is the sort of the order that is created from the customer, and then in the backend we forward that, or we split it into multiple orders to each supplier, right? So the suppliers themselves, they only see their relevant products, right? So they don't see the products from the other suppliers, so they only see what they are fulfilling. So that is sort of the complexity that's sort of abstracted away from the buyer, right? And in that checkout, we also automatically calculate the amount of subsidy that can be applied. We automatically apply that to the order, similar for the GST, basically the goods and services tax. And also we settle the payment as well during that checkout flow. So in terms of supplier management, so suppliers, they can manage their own products. There are some sort of conditions that they need approval if they're, for example, adding new products, or they are updating their pricing, right? So that is something that requires sort of a government approval before they can publish that. So that is something that we actually, that was not part of the OrderCloud platform. So that's something that we sort of custom built to sort of sort of comply to that requirement, right? So if a supplier has access to their own portal, they can manage their own the product catalog, right? And then from there they can either update individual product attributes, so just product description, images, and so forth, or if they are updating pricing, they can submit it for approval. After which, the seller is basically approving that and publishing that. We also have a dynamic product catalog, right? So it is something that because it's a closed marketplace. So only if a user is eligible to sort of place orders, then they will see those products. Otherwise, they cannot see those products. So that it is something that we dynamically show or not show based on the buyer group they are in. It was also essential, I think, for the sort of the commerce journey for seniors to have your suppliers on board as well, right? So they need to be able to also guide those seniors in a way that it makes it easy for them to order those consumables, right? So I think around 50% of the orders that are placed on the platform, they're placed over the phone actually, right? So even though we have a beautiful website, half of the orders are actually placed over the phone. So what we also did is we created a checkout within the admin panel for suppliers. had to access the senior's account through impersonation. There's like a secret passphrase that the senior will need to communicate to the supplier, because we don't want to just give access to all the customers for the suppliers, right? So it is something that the senior will basically need to give consent to the supplier to access that information. After which they can impersonate that customer and place the order using the subsidy and using the addresses that were already on their account. Then they can place orders, right? So that is something also that that was essential in this project, because not everyone can access the website or knows how to use the website. And what we also learned, right? So we initially started with an MVP. This was something that we sort of iteratively improved on, right? So the first MVP, I won't even recognize it with the current state it is in. It is something that we continuously kept on sort of improving, right? Based on learnings that we did, right? We did that both through sort of experimentation, right? So what we actually did is we did, we used basically Google Analytics and tagging to basically understand sort of what is the user behavior of customers, and then how are they basically going through that customer journey, where are the friction points, and where where the users get off, or where do they bounce in that journey. Right, so that was essential for us to identify where in this customer journey, is something wrong, where is the friction, right? And again, it was not to improve conversion rates or anything, but it was really to understand how are seniors using our website, right? How are they using it? And through that, we actually understood that reducing the steps in the checkout, right? Initially, we started with the Head Start solution, which has, I believe, like 4 or 5 steps in the checkout. That was something that many users, they didn't really understand how that works, and they got lost in some places, right? So we basically now reduced the checkout to 1 step, where we, for example, pre-fill a default shipping address. We pre-fill like the shipping options, and then they can change that. That's not a problem, right? Those options are still there, but we still sort of help them move them faster through the checkout, just to sort of guide them in that process and make it easier for them to understand sort of how to make it easier for them to place their orders. Also, something is, for example, we also noticed that seniors are more likely to reorder the same products, right? So rather than trying out new products, suggesting similar products, right? They are not interested. They have a particular product, for example, right? For example, particular milk feed that they are using. They're used to that. They just want the same, right? So making it easier to reorder those products, for example, that they are generally using. It's also something that we had a lot of inquiries about, is usernames and passwords, right? So now we are in the process of implementing a single sign-on, right? So that also helps them to to not every time they want to log in do a reset of the password, for example, right? Increasing the help text and clear descriptions, so that there wasn't a mistake that we initially made, which is assuming users know what they are doing in a particular step, but adding a help text to that and being clear in what they need to do, that also helps. And we also noticed that users are prefer more text rather than minimalistic design, right? So it is something that helps them and makes it clear what they need to do. And we also noticed that 80% of our traffic is from mobile. That was also a mistake that we initially made. We designed for desktop, but mobile is really most seniors are on mobile browsers. They so that was also something that we also learned through this process, and also prevent clutter in the interfaces. So it doesn't make sense to push many products and have many bells and whistles. That doesn't help. Having a clear interface with showing the products they need, the products that are relevant to them, that helps most to sort of guide them through that customer journey. We also implemented payments as well. So we used Stripe for that. The major reason for that is that Stripe also offers like Stripe Connect, and that is that fits well in a marketplace solution, because it basically allows you to immediately, as you are sort of processing the payment from that transaction, it allows you to immediately forward that payment to the supplier. Right. So if you have one order with multiple suppliers, you can split that payment into those multiple suppliers, and those suppliers they can manage the payouts, and they can see the reports from that. So that also helped us, and it is also very easy to implement for us. Right. It is essentially where we use the payment elements on the website. So you already get all of those features directly from Stripe. And it made it quite straightforward for us to implement payments as well. I already briefly mentioned it earlier. We also implemented the order returns from OrderCloud. So this was something that we did in a later phase. Because we noticed that was something that was also needed, right? We noticed that either, for example, a product was an order was made in the incorrect size, for example, so then they do a return and they create a new order on that, right? So order returns was also essential in this. So we implemented it in a way that we can, for example, do it based on a specific line item or even the quantity, right? So if you have 50 units and you want to return 25, then you can also do so. And we immediately calculate the appropriate subsidy to refund to the spending account, as well as the sort of electronic or cash that needs to be refunded to the customer. Right, so sort of our learnings from this journey was really to focus on the journey and the accessibility for seniors to place their orders, right? Ultimately, right, these products are something that seniors need for their quality of life and for their home care needs, right? So it is essential that we sort of that we are not forming any bottlenecks or any sort of friction points in this journey, because it is something that they just need. And it is, the collaboration with suppliers, and that was essential. Having a clear communication lines, those suppliers knowing that they are servicing seniors, then being able to sort of support them over the phone, and us being able to research the user behavior. Right, so understand where are the friction points in this journey and optimize it continuously from there. And ultimately, Sitecore OrderCloud was instrumental in this. It being able to serve as a marketplace that was essential, and being able to being headless, right? That also allowed us to tailor this journey in a way that we couldn't have done with any other solution, because it is not, so Sitecore OrderCloud is not limiting us in the way we are sort of designing this customer journey. So that is it. Any questions? Thank you so much. Any questions?
Thank you so much, Tom.
Right.
That is I always find OrderCloud projects so fascinating, because there's so much flexibility and you've got quite a unique use case there. So how you were able to use a lot of different functionality to meet some unique needs is really fascinating. And we are just about perfectly on time. I don't see any questions in the Q&A, but if anyone does have any questions for Tom or for Navneet, please feel free to drop them. And if we don't get to them today, I'm sure they are both welcome to answer questions if you reach out to them directly. I think they both shared their own personal details, so feel free to reach out to them LinkedIn or wherever if you've got questions. I do have a few little quick announcements. So we do have a few upcoming strategy MVP webinars. So we've got one on August 8th, one on September 6th, and one on the 13th of September. And we are actually looking for speakers on both of those September dates. So if you are interested in presenting, please feel free to drop us an email at smac@sitecore.com with a little bit of information around the description and title of a topic that you're interested in presenting. And we would love to see you there. Once again, thank you so much to everyone for coming and to Navneet and Tom for presenting. Hopefully you all got a lot to take away from that conversation.